Have you ever noticed how obsessed our society is with health? Just look at half of the commercials at least that we see have something to do with health, whether it's advertisements for Pelotons and mirrors and exercise programs and going to gyms or this or that, all these different things, or the food that we eat, all sorts of healthy food things. You notice how the food that we eat, we don't seem to advertise it anymore by what's in it, but rather what's not in it. So we get things, they tell you it's gluten-free, fat-free, sodium-free, sugar-free, preservative-free, this free, that free. I want to add taste-free. But we worry so much about what we put into our bodies, and almost to the point that for many people it becomes an obsession. All they live about is about the health of the body. And we're told if you have a healthy body, you'll have a healthy life, don't we? So get that trim body that you're looking for, and you will have a good life, and you will like yourself and everything, and you'll get back that feeling of importance, that feeling of need in your life. So in other words, if you have a healthy, trim body, a perfect figure, well, then you're happy. But if not, you got a little pot belly or anything like that, oh, well, you're going to be sad for the rest of your life. So I guess what they're saying is, okay, right now I'm happy, now I'm sad. I'm happy, now I'm sad. I'll do it for this side. You can see, I'm happy, now I'm sad. I'm happy, now I'm sad. Crazy, but that's what we're sold. We're sold a bill of goods that as long as you take care of your body, everything is fine. Now, don't get me wrong, please. Not for a moment am I saying we don't take care of our bodies. Of course, they are a gift from God, and yes, we do have to take care of this gift He's given us and treat our body properly, get proper exercise, eat a healthy diet, and all of that. Yes, that is definitely important, but do we overdo it? Do we live the health of our body as if it's a religion in itself, that all we worry about is the health foods we eat and forget about the soul? That was the mistake that the Pharisees were making, that Jesus criticized them for, because they had all of their rules and everything, and they worried about the Mosaic law, the kosher laws about what to eat, how to wash your hands, and all the things that we hear Mark talking about in the gospel reading today. And yet, they didn't care about the more serious things. They were concerned about, they washed their hands perfectly, and yet they were deceitful, greedy, condemnatory, biting, nasty people. And Jesus says those are the real things to worry about. The real defilement is not the defilement of the body, but the defilement of the soul. But think about it. We have our bodies now for a time. We're only going to have them for whatever number of years we're here on earth. And eventually, our soul and body separate, and the body returns to the dust from which it was made. It is the soul that goes on for eternity. And it is the health of the soul that we should worry about more than the health of the body. So the question that the Lord asks all of us to ask ourselves today is, are we taking care of our soul as much as we take care of our body? Maybe sometimes we don't even take care of our body, because with all of the talk out there about the health foods and things, we're also discussing the obesity among many Americans, especially among our children. So maybe some people are not following even the health of their bodies, and maybe that's why we have that situation. But as important as it is to the health of our body is to take care of our souls and treat them with the care they deserve. Now, with our body, we usually have enough easy ways to figure out whether or not our body is healthy. You can step on a scale every morning and see your weight, and is it in the proper range where the doctor tells you that you're okay? And some of them even have the other things they check, the subcutaneous fat and all these other things, and they give you a health picture just from stepping on a scale in the morning. Or you go to the doctor and you get blood work done, and the doctor will say, hey, you got to watch this, you got to watch that, give you medicines for this or that. Fine. And the doctor often can give us things to help with the body. But what about our soul? How do we find out what we need to do to make our soul better? Some of us know all too well. We know our faults. We know the weaknesses. And much of our growth in spirituality is looking at our faults and saying, Lord, where do I need to be better? What do I have to overcome in my life to be closer to you? Our whole spiritual life is about growing in union with Christ. The day of our baptism, we put on Christ, and we are told to live as a member of the body of Christ each and every day of our lives. And so in our prayer, which hopefully we do every day, hopefully part of it, in addition to petitioning God for the things we need, which we're usually all very good about, we know, Lord, please give me this, please grant me that. And again, those things are usually perfectly fine. But do we pray about our own morality, or the health of our soul? Do we say, Lord, show me where I need to grow to be more like you? And again, some of us know very well exactly what we need to do. Our faults are very much before us. Other times, maybe we honestly just don't. Have you ever met people who think they're so good and charitable, and they're actually the nastiest people you'd ever want to meet? You know, kind of like Ebenezer Scrooge, who said, I am a man of the most generous spirit. You know, and some people can be like that. They have no clue about what's happening. Well, have we ever asked ourselves before the Lord, what a wonderful gift it would be if we could see ourselves the way other people see us? We might be shocked to see what other people think about us. Now, not everybody else's opinion is correct, okay? People will form opinions of us sometimes that are way off the mark because nobody else is correct. Or not everybody is correct, I shall say. But when we hear the same things over and over, then maybe there's something that people are telling us that we need to look into our hearts for. For example, if we frequently hear people saying to us, do you have to be so critical all the time? Well, maybe that's a sign to us that, maybe we are a little bit too critical. Maybe we sit in judgment of other people, and it could be anything from their personality and the way they talk to us to even their skills. Somebody, they could sing beautifully, but they make one little crack in a note, and you say, oh, that person cracked that note, they're no good, or whatever, something like that. If we can listen to what other people are telling us, sometimes they might be blunt. Maybe you've had people come to you and just spell it right out and say, you got to get off my case a little bit, okay? You're really bugging me. Would you stop nagging me or whatever? And even that, husbands and wives who say, you're nagging me, well, is she or he nagging you, or are they reminding you about something of which you're being negligent? Listen honestly and carefully to what the other person is saying. If we notice, for example, that when we go to talk to people, it seems like they're always trying to get away from us and go to talk to somebody else at a party or wherever you are. Well, maybe what they're trying to tell us is that we have a habit of captivating people and monopolizing their time. And once they start talking, they never let you go. And so people are trying to avoid talking with them because they say that'll be an hour-long conversation. So many different things. People can give us signs of it little by little every day. And it's such a blessing if we could tune in to those moments and see what people are showing us. I'm sure none of us are committing all the major crimes that Jesus talks about in the gospel reading, because you see things such as that and you realize, well, yeah, it's kind of like soap operas. My mother used to watch this one soap opera. She stopped watching it because she got tired of the themes that she just didn't like. But you would see all these people who were always perfectly healthy, perfectly dressed. I mean, they got the best models in Hollywood and the best looking people to play these parts and everything. And you'd see them going to the gym and drinking healthy foods and all that stuff, except for the one or two they threw in that were alcoholic because they always make a good storyline. But other than those, you see all these people that try to be very healthy, and yet they're vindictive, spiteful, mean, obsessed people, and somebody else says something in the slightest thing, they think that they automatically assume the person meant it negatively, and they cause all these problems, and they do stuff that's outrageous that you'd look at and say, if these people were in my life, I would get away from them as soon as possible, because you wouldn't want to live around these people for the horrible ways they treat each other. And sometimes you can see people that, for whatever their reason, they see what somebody else does, and they go to completely different judgments of why they went that way, usually ascribe a negative judgment to something that was probably very positive, and they condemn people and they'll talk about them to others, and then they wonder why they have no friends. And so sometimes if we can just learn from that to see what makes us better people, will it help us get along with other people a little better? Sometimes people, if we just had the ability to understand others and be charitable, our lives would be a lot better. One thing that was said of Mozart was, he was a brilliant musician, one of the finest that ever lived, but one of his contemporaries had said if he had a third less talent and a third more ability to get along with people, he might have been more successful in his life. So often we can kvetch and worry about all the wrong things, our physical health. And again, not to say we don't take care of it, but the more important thing is the health of our souls and the health of our relationships with others. Do we treat other people charitably? Do we treat them as Christ would treat them? In fact, we're meant to live to say when everybody meets us, and when we are a Christian, we say that word, but that means a Christ person. So when we meet somebody, do they feel like they have met Christ? They should. Each and every one of us is a unique manifestation of the face of Christ. You know, no, there are no two people who have ever been identical. Everyone is unique. And we're all made in the image and likeness of God, which means you and I each have a way of showing God to the world that only you and I can do. And to be our best would be to show God to the world, and people will see God through us in a way they've never seen before. And we have a way of showing God to the world that only we can do. Sadly, so many people never realize that, and they don't see the gift that God has given them. If we can see that and live in a Christ-like manner each and every day, then we'll make a difference in people's lives. In fact, just think about the people that you might say have made a difference in your lives, whether it's parents or school teachers or friends or whomever it may be, even famous people that have made a difference. I guarantee you the positive things that you talk about in their lives had nothing to do with their physical appearance. And never at a eulogy have I ever had anybody come at a funeral and say, I loved my dad. My dad was my hero because he could bench press 250 pounds. Never had that. Or my mom, I loved mom so much because she was able to keep a wonderful figure even into her 80s. Never heard that. Nor have I heard people criticize somebody for the lack of health or physical things I had. I just could never talk to my uncle. He and I had nothing in common because that toupee he wore was the most ridiculous looking thing. Never heard that said. Or anything like that about, there's no way I could possibly ever talk to my grandmother. I mean, I was embarrassed to be out with her because she was about 20 pounds overweight. Or my mother gained 3 pounds over Christmas and never lost it. And so I was disgusted with her. These conversations don't happen. People don't say these things, but how often do we dwell on them? And yet look at the things people hopefully will be able to say about us and do when we die. And they say, he or she changed my life because my mother and my father was always there for me. They were always present to listen to me, to help me, and they told me the truth, whether I wanted to hear it or not. Yeah, sometimes they'll throw in nice things. Mom was the best cook in the world and all that stuff, and Dad told really funny dad jokes, which aren't always the case. Yeah, sometimes little things like that will be thrown in. But the compassion, the love, making other people feel like they were important to us. Even teachers, students who love their teachers will say, that teacher made me feel like I was not just a kid taking up space in the class, but that teacher cared about me as a person, and not just the curriculum, but how I was doing with my life. Those are the things to worry about. Those are the things we need to pray about. And so, my brothers and sisters, today the Lord challenges us, as important as it is to take care of the health of our bodies, to take care of the health of our souls, because that's what lasts for eternal life, and that's what would make the world a better place. Could you imagine if the world were filled with people who worry about others, who go out of their way to be of service to one another and help other people be the best they can be? What a different world we'd have. How different it would be, how much better. We wouldn't have so many of the pains, so many of the things we read about in the news that upset us, so much of the anger, so much of the problems would not be there if we were people who are trying to worry not just about my own needs and making people serve me, but being out to be of service to one another, to be Christ to everyone I meet. My brothers and sisters, let that be our prayer today at Mass and then during the week. Let's ask the Lord today, before we go to bed, spend some time and pray and say, Lord, help me to be your presence to even just one person I meet today. And then if we can increase that to everyone I meet, get up in the morning and say, Lord, help me to be your presence to everyone I meet, to treat everybody the way you would treat them. If we can do that, I guarantee you, your life will never be boring. You will never feel like you have no sense of dignity or importance in the world. In fact, after a while, you will start to see the difference you're making in the lives of people around you. You will feel good about yourself. Other people will feel good about themselves. They'll feel good about you. We'll get along better, and the world will be a better place because we've each worried not merely about the health of the body, but more importantly, about the health of the soul. literally to be Christ to everyone we meet. May Jesus Christ be praised, now and forever.